opening words today were written by the Reverend Andrea Hawkins Camper. Gather we now into this space, this time when the wheel turns and the veil shatters. Gather we now to remember, to grieve, to prophecy, to complete our harvests before the long dark comes. Gather we now to tell the old stories and sing the old songs, to be as we have always been, the voice of our people eternal. Gather we now to celebrate that which was, that which is, and that which will be. Gather we now, as we have always done, united by story and bound by love. Come, let us worship together. My name is Jackson Bird. I am a member of this congregation and today's service leader. I use he, him pronouns, and I am very grateful to share this time with you all here today.
My name is Jess Rocheleau, and I'm a member of this congregation, and I'm today's worship associate. I use she, her pronouns. I invite you to say our congregation's chalice lighting words with me. We light this flame to invite a world of peace, where we heal the wounds, where we share what we have with one another, where justice is another word for relationship, and we listen for what love has to say. I invite you to rise in body and spirit, heart and voice to sing our opening hymn, Gathered Here, on the screen and number 389 in the gray hymnal. We're going to sing it through once together and then 3 more times in a round, so you can choose which part of the round to join.
Mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in the mystery of the body, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near, Spirit draw near.
We are going to read a Halloween story. So I invite any of the kids who want to come up front and see the pictures in the Halloween book, or anyone who is young at heart, if you want to come up front while we read from The Ghost Who Was Afraid of Everything. Okay, so today's story is called The Ghost Who Was Afraid of Everything by Nadia Ahmed. Finn is scared to go outside for Halloween. Humans are frightening. They make loud noises, they run from house to house, and they shout, "Trick or treat!" Finn is scared of a lot of things. Tree branches, butterflies, the color orange, and flying all frighten him. He doesn't know why he twists in knots about these things. His older brother and younger sister can do anything without worry. "Come and join us," they shout from up high. But Finn looks down. When Finn is afraid, his stomach swoops, his hands sweat, and he can't move. Finn hides in the attic, but he feels lonely, knowing everyone is having fun without him. Finn's family loves him for who he is. After every Halloween, they bring back candy for Finn to share. Except this Halloween. Finn's favorite chocolate bats are missing. His mother shakes her head. I'm sorry, they're all gone. Finn's siblings forgot to save him his favorite candy. How could they? This is the worst Halloween ever, Finn slumps. Finn makes a promise to himself. Next Halloween, he will fly with his family and eat all the chocolate bats he wants. He will go even if he is scared. He will face his fears. Finn starts small. A leafless tree is sitting next to Finn's attic, with branches sharp and pointy and rough. Finn doesn't allow his knocking knees to stop him. He touches the lowest branch. The bark feels rough, but there's no bite. Finn holds on for 1 whole minute. Every day, Finn touches the branches longer. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 whole minutes. His knees knock, and one day, he puts his arms around the tree. Thank you, he whispers to the tree, which gently waves down at him. As snow falls, Finn climbs the branches and sits, watching his siblings soar above. He's higher up than ever, but not ready to fly just yet. Warm breezes come, and so do the butterflies. And remember, Finn the ghost is scared of tree branches, butterflies, the color orange, and flying. So the butterflies come, and Finn takes deep breaths and lets one flutter close to him until it lands on his head. And when the sun blazes, Finn sits quietly next to a bowl of oranges. He doesn't hide in the attic as much as he used to. The leaves turn, and Finn is ready to try the thing he is most scared of, flying. He floats first near the attic window. Then he hovers on top of the trees. At last, Finn flies so high that all the houses and trees look like toys. One day, flying on a breeze, is a kite that Finn doesn't see. Smack! Crash! Ouch! All of Finn's fears rush back. He stays in the attic for the rest of the day. Maybe the outside world is too dangerous. But wait, Halloween is only 1 week away. Finn remembers why he started to face his fears in the first place. Chocolate bats. Finn doesn't want to miss out on his favorite candy, and he doesn't want to miss out on more fun with his family either. He tries flying again. His knees shake, his palms sweat, but he lifts off. He practices every day with one eye always watching out for kites, and finally, Finn goes out on Halloween with his family for the first time, and he gathers a large bag of chocolate bats all by himself, savoring each one. And that is Finn's story of Halloween. So I think the kids are going to go down to RE now. Laurel, do you want to share what's happening in RE today?
So today we have some little pumpkins for everybody to get to paint and decorate. And we also have an activity where we'll be drawing with white crayon, and so it'll be invisible. And then you can make it materialize. We can do spider webs and all sorts of things. And then do we have someone for...
Yeah, Nancy, do you want to share what's happening in JYG today? Thank you.
We'll be exploring our Universalist roots, looking at 18th century America and John Murray. We'll also paint pumpkins, which will all be very different, but they will remind us that we as UUs have many different beliefs, but we are united in a beautiful pumpkin patch of shared values.
I love that. I haven't confirmed it, but I saw something that said today is National Pumpkin Day, so that's perfect. Do you want to help me? Thank you. So as the kids go down to RE, I invite the rest of you to rise and sing the hymn, Wake Now My Senses, which is on the screen, and number 298 in the gray hymnal.
Keep with
Our reading today is from The Home Place, Memoirs of a Colored Man's Love Affair with Nature by J. Drew Lanham. Fall is the time when nature speaks most clearly to me. In autumn, one is treated to an orgy of sights, sounds, and smells that can be wonderfully overwhelming. The stifling late summer heat is mercifully cleared by cooler air overnight. Breathing is suddenly easier, and the soaking sweat evaporates. You want to inhale deeply enough to take in every molecule wafting on the wind. The tired sameness of September's deep green fades, then flames into October's vermilion sumacs and scarlet maples, lemon yellow poplars, and golden hickories. In those days of crispness, I want to linger long enough to hear every sound and look far enough to see into forever. The Germans have a fine word for it, Zugenruhe. I don't know if I said that right, but I tried. A compound derived from the roots Zug, migration, and Unruhe, anxiety. It describes the seasonal migration of birds and other animals. In this wanderlust, I want to go somewhere far away, to fly to some place I think I need to be. Nature is on the move too, migrating, storing, and dying. Everything is either accelerating or slowing down. Some things are rushing about to put in seed for the next generation. A monarch butterfly in a field full of goldenrod is urgent on tissue-thin wings of black and orange to gather the surging sweetness before the frost locks it away. Apple trees and tangles of muscadines hang heavy. The fruit-dense orchard offers a final call to the wildlings. Foxes, deer, coons, possum, and wild turkeys fatten in the feasting. The air is spiced with the scent of dying leaves. The perfume of decay gathers as berries ripen into a wild wine. Even the sun sits differently in an autumnal sky, sending a mellower light in somber slants that foretell the coming change. The rustling riot of turning, falling leaves and the mysterious moonlit chirps of migrant songbirds winging their way to faraway places makes my heart race. When the moon glows in a mid-November sky like a pallid sun, I, too, am soaked in wanting and wood's lust, that I might as well wander like a warbler in the joyous urgency of it all.
In his book Ghostland, An American History in Haunted Places, author Colin Dickey writes, "Ghost stories reveal the contours of our anxieties, the nature of our collective fears and desires, the things that we can't talk about in any other way." That storybook I read to you is only technically a ghost story, is a story about a ghost, but when I first read it, it so deeply revealed the contours of my own anxieties that I could have been convinced it was written by some secret observer of my own childhood. Like Finn, the little ghost in the story, when I was a kid, I was a total scaredy cat. Coincidentally, I was also pretty scared of cats. And mice, and tornadoes, any white, creamy foods, the impending doom of certain death, and even more than that, clowns. I tended to be scared of trying anything new. I was such a tightly wound kid that my mom used to make me memorize quotes to recite as mantras when I got nervous. Things like, "Worry doesn't empty tomorrow of its sorrow, but today of its strength." And those fortune cookie affirmations must have helped in some way because I still remember them over 30 years later. But at the time, I often felt isolated from my classmates when my fears kept me from joining in on the fun. I might have seemed to others like I was an irrevocable scaredy cat, but like Finn the ghost, I was always able to face my fears eventually. I just needed to do it in my own time, and maybe with a little bit of creativity. For example, after many years of failing to ride my bike without training wheels despite repeated efforts from my parents, I decided one day that I was going to do it my way. Since the main fear holding me back had been my fear of falling off the bike and getting all scratched up, I had come up with the idea of learning to ride my bike on a field of grass. where there'd be a nice soft landing if I took a spill. I went out to the park by myself, and I spent most of the day trying and trying and trying again. I fell so many times, but the grass cushioned me from any major injuries, as well as from the fear of falling itself. And by the end of the day, I was a two-wheeled bike rider. Now, overcoming the fear of falling off my bike did not turn me into a daredevil overnight, or ever. I continued to be scared of the monkey bars, of my friends' hamsters, of our house burning down. In high school, I became so afraid of failure that I would avoid trying new things, or purposefully do so poorly that I could laugh it off as not caring. From roller coasters to natural disasters, fear was a near constant companion. Now, I am still a pretty anxious guy, but throughout adulthood, I've pushed myself more and more. As a self-respecting man in his mid-30s, these days, I prefer to say that I am cautious, not afraid. I won't outright say no to something out of fear, but I might ask some questions, do a little research, make a pro and cons list, and tackling smaller fears, like watching scary movies or going ziplining, have become a little easier because I've also had to tackle much, much bigger fears as an adult. The flying kind of fears, not just the touching tree branches kinds of fears, to go back to our little ghost friend, Finn. And one of those fears was moving here. Not that Western Massachusetts is scary. The ultimate location was the least scary part of moving. Western Massachusetts was like the chocolate bats waiting for me on the other side. Now, what was scary was leaving behind everything and everyone that I had called home for the first 14 years of my adult life, and leaving them to face a relative unknown. Fear of the unknown is at the core of so many fears. Not being able to predict what will happen in a heated situation, when a storm hits, or after we die. And it is these existential fears that have driven so many of the rituals marking this time of year. As cultures around the world and throughout time have observed, autumn is a kind of liminal space, a transitory buffer between the heat of summer and the chill of winter. The days grow shorter, the nights grow colder, the land grows nothing at all. Leaves decay and fall from brittle tree branches. It can seem like the earth is trying to remind us of our own mortality and of those we've lost. But it could just as easily be seen as a transformation. The changing leaves, a new costume that the earth is trying on, and the dark winter, a time of rest before a rebirth. Many autumnal holidays have focused on this liminality, the changing of the seasons, the pull between light and dark, celebration and solemnity, honoring the past and expressing hope for the future. There's Sukkot and Dia de los Muertos, as well as Diwali, the Buddhist and Taoist Ghost Festival, ancient festivals like the Finnish Kekri and the Celtic Samhain, and of course, Halloween. Now, Halloween may seem like a day just for parties and trick-or-treating, but its origins remain baked into its core theme of facing fears. As the late cultural critic and preeminent Halloween historian David J. Schall put it, Halloween has its essential roots in the terrors of the primitive mind, which made no distinction between the waning of the sun and the potential extinction of the self. Because life itself was literally in the balance at harvest, the close proximity of the visible world and the spirit world was more than metaphor. And for those communities looking ahead to the dark, frozen days of winter, there was a faith in preparation. It was a time to take stock of resources. Rituals might be enacted to ensure another good harvest in the year to come. Actionable work was being done to give communities their best shot at surviving the winter. One man who knows a great deal about facing death head-on and exploring the liminal expanse between worlds is Colonel Chris Hadfield. You might remember him as the Canadian astronaut who went viral in 2013 for performing a cover of David Bowie's Space Oddity while on board the International Space Station. It is an incredible video. I cry every time I watch it, so I definitely recommend looking it up if you haven't seen it. But as someone whose job was being strapped on top of hundreds of thousands of pounds of rocket fuel and being blasted into the endless abyss of space, he is often asked about how he handles fear. And in his book, An Astronaut's Guide to Life, he wrote, quote, "In my experience, fear comes from not knowing what to expect and not having any control over what's about to happen. Astronauts are taught that the best way to reduce stress is to sweat the small stuff. We're trained to look on the dark side and to imagine the worst possible things that could happen. While play acting grim scenarios day in and day out may sound like a good recipe for clinical depression, it's actually weirdly uplifting. You don't have to walk around perpetually braced for disaster, but it is a good idea to have some kind of plan for dealing with unpleasant possibilities," end quote. Or, as NASA more succinctly puts it in their unofficial philosophy, prepare for the worst and enjoy every minute of it. For example, hopefully we will never have a fire here at the meeting house. But it could happen. And if it does, those of us who were here last week know what to do now. We practiced a fire drill, and you know what? Especially thanks to Sarah and the choir leading us in song at our safe meeting point at the Bang Center, I enjoyed every minute of it. Like Finn the Ghost, taking an entire year to overcome his fears by taking small, incremental steps, I prepared for my move here from New York City over a period of several years. I took big steps, like buying a car, and smaller steps, like slowly collecting used furniture that I would need in a more spacious home, and even kind of silly steps, like starting to write the speech I would give at the going away party I was throwing for myself. It ended up being a fantastic party, by the way. But all of my extensive spreadsheets and to-do lists and years of preparation meant that when the final days came, all I had to do was execute the plan. There was a reassurance in knowing that my past self had made all of the decisions already. He'd even processed his emotions about it ad nauseum. So on the big day, he could just follow the steps that I had designed and enjoy the ride. Of course, even the best laid plans can have setbacks. Just like Finn the Ghost crashing into that kite and feeling all of his fears rushing back, I hit a few roadblocks in my move. I lost out on a few amazing rental houses that I still daydream about, and I ended up at a place pretty far from where I wanted to be. And over a year into planning the move, but still a year out from actually moving, I fell in love with a girl in Brooklyn, which made it so much harder to say goodbye. And in between the preparations and the determination to finally make the move I'd been saying I would for years, a lot of doubt crept in. I was leaving behind job opportunities, a thriving community of fellow artists, friends I'd been friends with for so long they were basically family, a woman I loved, and all for what? Because I thought Western Massachusetts was kind of neat. I mean, it is pretty neat, right? I like it here a lot. But I think the bigger point was that I knew deep down it was the right move for me. Having grown up in a small town in Texas, New York City had been so exciting to get to, but not so much to live in for the rest of my life. And it was often hard to explain that to people who had grown up in New York with no intentions of ever leaving, or to those transplants who were still basking in the glow of the city lights. None of them understood why I'd want to leave. And it was that lack of understanding that made me realize just how unlike them I'd always been. One part of the storybook that I read that I can't get out of my head is how it flips expectations upside down. Finn is a ghost. He should fly around and scare us humans. The rest of his family does, like it's no big deal. But Finn the ghost is scared of flying and of humans. He doesn't live up to the expectations of who he was born as. So when he decides he wants to conquer flying, I had to wonder, was he only doing that to fit in because he felt pressured? But that doesn't seem to be the case in the story. We're told his family loves him for who he is. They even bring him candy every Halloween, or try to. He doesn't seem to be picked on, and he never even talks down to himself. His sole motivation seems to be those chocolate bats that he can only get by flying on Halloween. And I think that makes all the difference when we push ourselves outside of our comfort zones, when we face our fears. Are we doing it because we feel some societal pressure, or are we doing it with our own agency? because we feel in our hearts that it is something that we need to do even if it scares us. Which is what I think this time of year is all about. Peeking through our fingers at the things that scare us, getting more comfortable with them little by little, and deciding if this is perhaps the time that we are ready to face our fears, whether that be zombies and clowns or death itself. To quote historian David Scull again, the essential spirit of Halloween is ultimately dancing in the face of death. Halloween is about bringing you to that edge and realizing what it is to be truly alive. So often, we sweep these heavy existential wonderings under the rug. We get consumed with our day-to-day hustle and bustle, and then when some upheaval inevitably rams into our steady routine, we can be caught off guard. But maybe, if we take the time to incorporate ideas about upheaval and mortality into a regular ritual, it will be like those incremental steps, that preparation that makes the big fear a little bit easier to face if and when it comes. And it doesn't have to be super macabre or sad. Think of the joy, lights, marigolds, and pumpkins that mark so many of the festival celebrations at this time of year. Like at those celebrations, facing the biggest fear of the unknown can be as simple as taking time to remember your loved ones who have passed, or just remembering to slow down on occasion and give thanks for all of the ephemeral beauty and wonder in this world. But times have been dark lately, and it can be hard to see the light. But one of the most poignant things about seasons is that they do eventually fade out and into the next one and cycle on. The darkness of winter can be harsh, but it is also a promise that spring will come again. There's one last little moment in the story that I read that I want to end on, and it is when Finn the ghost is working on conquering his fears, starting with his fear of tree branches. Day after day, he holds onto the branch of a tree a little bit longer, getting braver each time, and one day, he wraps his arms around the tree and whispers to it, "Thank you." That tree went from one of his biggest fears to a crucial supporter in his journey, a being he felt so comfortable around, he thanked for how it had helped him. When I think back to some of my biggest fears that I've faced in my life, learning to ride a bike, coming out to friends and family, moving across the country for college, and then moving states again without a particular reason 14 years later, when I think about all those milestones and how scary each one was in the moment, I also think about what they've given me, the perspectives and experiences that I wouldn't have had otherwise, how they've shaped who I've become, and that who I've become is stronger than who I was. So whether it's reaching out to touch the branch of a tree or flying high above the treetops, I invite each one of you to consider how you might prepare for the thing that is scaring you this season. Acknowledge it, prepare for it, go at your own speed, and find the light in it. And I hope you all have a very happy Halloween.
Now the day is over, night is drawing nigh, shadows of the evening steal across the sky. Now the leaflets let
Our prayer today was written by the Reverend Kate R. Walker. In between liminal, that space where we wait, between moments, events, results, action, no action, to stand on the threshold, waiting for something to end and something new to arrive, a pause in a rumble of time. Awareness claims us, alert, a shadow of something different. In between invitation and acceptance, in between symptom and diagnosis, in between send and receipt of inquiry and question, in between love given and love received. Liminality, a letting go, entering into confusion, ambiguity, and disorientation, a ritual begun. Pause. Look back at what once was. Look forward into what becomes. Identity sheds a layer, reaches into something uncomfortable to wear. In between lighting of the match and the kindling of oil, in between choosing of text and the reading of words, in between voices and notes carried through the air into ears to hear, in between creation thrusts ever forward. Social hierarchies may disassemble and structures may fall, communities may revolt or tempt trust, tradition may falter or creativity crashes forward. Leaders may step down or take charge, and the people may choose or refuse. In between, storm predicted, the horizon beckons. In between, theology of process reminds us to step back. In between, where minutia and galaxies intermingle with microbes and mysteries. In between, liminal, that space where we wait. Look, listen, feel, breathe. I invite you all to remain seated for our meditation hymn, Voice Still and Small, on the screen, and number 391 in the gray hymnal.
Another world is possible. Each week, we collect an offering and we split it with an outside organization to help us remember that we can't make the world a better place on our own. During October, our congregation generously shares half of our offering basket with Gaza Soup Kitchen. Half of the money collected in our offering today supports the life of our congregation. The other half of the money will support Gaza Soup Kitchen in providing meals and humanitarian aid, including food and clean water to families in the Gaza Strip. Please give generously today in the basket, by text, by check, or through our website, uusocietyamherst.org/donate. Please join me in saying the words to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We are about to sing our closing song. You are welcome to stay right where you are and be held in the love of this congregation, or rise and move into a circle along the outer aisle. Place your hand over your heart or hold hands with the person next to you as we sing This Day We Come. Okay, great job. In the words of Reverend Wayne Arneson, take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. Go in peace.